The Civil Aviation Authority, the CAA, in the United Kingdom is the governmental body that determines the regulations, creates the regulations and the rules around all air flight, including drones. The drone aspect of the regulations within the CAA are minuscule and almost insignificant when you compare them to the massive amount of other things that the CAA have to consider and regulate for. But still, they're the body that decides how we fly. So I'm sure a lot of you are aware that on the 7th of December this year, 2022, the CAA published their acceptable means of compliance and guidance material, which is supposed to be a kind of update to the regulations that cover unmanned aircraft flight, which is drones. But it's not really an update, it was more of a clarification. Clarification. Not really. The number of contradictions that are in this new publication itself and the number of items that contradict other regulations within the CAA about drone flight are just too many to name, and I'm not going to list them in this channel. If you want to see a list of all of the contradictions, then go to Geeksvana, because Sean lists all of them there and he breaks them all down and explains all of the contradictions very clearly. What I'm going to do here is give you my take and my interpretation on two things regarding these changes, if you like, or clarifications, if you prefer. First of all, let me talk about the contradictions found within the acceptable means of compliance and guidance material itself, the one published on the 7th of December 2022. Let me first say I'm not a lawyer, this is just my opinion, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Because there are so many contradictions within this piece of work, which is supposed to be a legal piece of work, you cannot be held accountable if you break any of these regulations. Because if you fly according to one set of the regulations, you're fine. But if you fly to that exact same set of regulations according to another paragraph, you're committing an offence. And this contradiction isn't just in one part of it, it's throughout the entire acceptable means of compliance and guidance material publication. Which contradicts itself many times and contradicts other parts of the CAA regulations about drone flight. So, no court in the United Kingdom can find you guilty of an offence if you break any of these regulations while you're not breaking them according to another part of the regulations. You see what I'm saying? Now, I don't condone anyone going out and breaking regulations, but the way they sit at the moment, you can't fly without breaking regulations, and you can't fly without complying with regulations. It's confusing, and a court wouldn't even entertain it. They'd throw it out before it even got in front of them. Let me move on to my second point, and this to me is a much more interesting point. Within the new publication, it tells you that you now have to be able to tell the orientation of the drone while it's in flight without using the telemetry. That means just by looking at the drone. Now, a lot of other YouTube creators in the drone world have interpreted this to say that you can no longer fly beyond, for example, 50 metres, maybe 100 metres with a Mini 1, a Mini 2, a Mini 2SE, a Mini 3, a Mini 3 Pro, because the drone is so small that by the time it's gone to 50 metres or maybe 100 metres if your eyesight's really good, you can no longer tell the orientation of the drone. I disagree, and I don't interpret it that way, because all you have to do to make sure that you know the orientation of your drone is to put a strobe, and I recommend the Flytron Cree strobes, a red strobe on the left side of the drone and a green strobe on the right side of the drone. I've tested the weight of adding two of these strobes and it does not take you over the 250 grams. In fact, it takes you to 248 grams on a Mini 2. I haven't tested it with a Mini 3 yet, but I will do soon. I have also tested how far you can fly the drone and see the two lights flashing, the red and the green light flashing on either side of the drone. And it's at least 3 kilometres. My interpretation of this rule is that as long as you can see the orientation of the drone by looking at the drone, that's the distance that you can fly it to. Now, if you can see the red light and the green light flashing at 3 kilometres away, you can tell the orientation of the drone. So this has now opened up visual line of sight for us to fly almost as far as we like. Or at least as far as you can see those two strobe lights flashing independently and tell the orientation of the drone using these lights. I can do that. I'll be going back out to test the strobe lights to see just how far it is, because although I think it's 3 kilometres, it may be 3 miles. It was so long ago that I did it, I can't really remember. So I will be going back out soon to do that. So let me just, in summary, say that I welcome the new acceptable means of compliance and guidance material publication on the 7th of December 2022 because it's absolutely useless and it now means that they cannot hold us accountable in a court of law if they claim that we have broken any regulations. And as for flying in VLOS, they've now allowed us to fly much further than VLOS. If you disagree with me, that's fine. Stick your disagreement in the compliments. Stick your disagreement in the comments and we'll have a little debate about it. Okay? Thanks very much for watching this. You know what to do. Cheerio.